GM, what is going on? Welcome to the 72nd, excuse my voice, 72nd consecutive episode of Wonky Weekly Alpha. It is good to be back, fellas. Always my favorite time of the week. Excited to be back in here with you guys. If you're in the audience and you're listening for the first time, I say this every time, but I say it because I mean it. It is not very intimidating to get up on stage, so feel free to hit that request button. Join us. The more of you guys that come up and jump in on the conversation, the better. And it really is, I think, the perfect place to do it. It's a smaller space, right? We'll have probably somewhere in the range of, it varies 40 to 70 people in here each week during the middle of the bear market. And it's a lot less intimidating than getting up on one of those multi-hundred speaker stages. And I promise, exact same type of thing. It's just having a conversation with somebody else in the room with you. So get up here. Would love to hear what you guys have to say. And on top of that, just want to go ahead and give a quick rundown of what the stonks are. So if you're unfamiliar, I pinned it up at the top. The Wonky Stonks are a fully generative collection that were released as a free mint back in October of 2021. So fully generative collection. Art is in the charts. And, it's something completely different than what you have with a lot of other collections that focus on PFPs or something else. There is no utility outside of the art and outside of the community, I guess you could say, with that. But there's no utility, no roadmap. And I think one of the OG projects to come out with that from day number one, right? Rather than, I think that it became a more popular narrative later on in the cycle, whenever there were a lot of teams that realized they couldn't deliver on what they had promised from the get-go. The only thing that we promised from the beginning are, good art and good vibes. And that's what we continue to roll with. So here we are with the 72nd week, and want to give a shout out to Rooster, Pit God, Lumber. We've got Pit Piker up on stage and Dudek up on stage as well. Welcome, gentlemen. How is it going today?
Going pretty well. Thanks for the love on the tweet, too.
Yeah, of course, man. Thank you for the love on the tweet. I need to go ahead and pin that up there for anybody that didn't see it. And also shout out for anybody else that is in here. The legend Lumber over here has been giving away stonks each week. So he does have another giveaway today. Not sure exactly what he has in mind for this giveaway, but we'll figure out, a good way of being able to host that. The only thing that really does matter, that I know for a fact for you to even have a chance of winning that free stonk, is that you need to be here, be active, be listening. And whenever that opportunity does come, we'll make sure that everybody in the audience has a fair shot at it. Last week was a little bit skewed. I know it's only the female participation, but it worked, Lumber. We got somebody up on stage that I'm pretty sure verifiably was a female. You helped the diversity. Thank you for that.
We did, and I appreciate that. And she was definitely a female. I'm keeping my fingers crossed there. And she's been tweeting quite a bit, I see, now that I'm following her. But looking forward to today, and no utility. How about mind being blown every time you see a new stonk? Kind of like what you put up there a couple days ago for some lucky guy to get if he engaged. I don't know how that turned out.
Yeah, I forget which one that is, but I'll say every single one of these stonks that I put up there, aside from the one that, I've got a stonk that I gave away for Threads, or that I'm giving away on Threads, I guess I should say, because I tagged the winner in it yesterday. He hasn't said anything. I tagged him again a little bit ago. He still hasn't said anything. I mean, I don't know. I'm going to have to put a stipulation on there. And if he doesn't reply back, maybe in the next hour or so, I might just give it away here on the space instead. We'll see.
Sounds like a great plan. excited, man.
So wait, are any of y'all on Threads yet? I want to hear everybody's honest opinion on what's going on with that. And Rooster, I mostly agree with that sentiment, but let's go ahead and hear what you guys have to say.
I mean, why? Why would I be on Threads is like my main thing. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna, just I'm not gonna boomer mindset it and completely fade everything, right? I mean, I downloaded it. Have I created an account? No. Do I plan on like using it at all? Not really. I mean, then that's like restarting everything I've, built on my, crypto Twitter account for the last, fucking year and a half or whatever it is. Yeah. I'm not gonna do that shit. And, apparently I heard too, like, if you log in with your Instagram, like your current account, and if you like,
you got to create.
If you think you're like deleting just your Threads account or whatever, apparently like people have been deleting their whole Instagram account. And yeah. Anyway, Facebook, Meta, Zuck. I don't really give a shit. But yeah, I just see no point. Like we have home. Granted, the playground's being changed, right? Like, I press refresh once and I reach my max limit. Am I gonna buy Twitter Blue because of that? I don't know. Maybe. Whoa.
Wait. You're telling me actually they have that if you don't have Twitter Blue, that it is rate limited in that sense to where, you've got a limit and it makes you wait X amount of time before you can refresh again?
Honestly, I have no idea because I haven't been on Twitter that much recently. I've just been more making memes of it. I've seen people like say like, I can't, they're rate limited at that point. From what I've heard, like if you're unverified, it's like 600 tweets or something. And then if you got like a check or something, it's like 3,000 or maybe like 5,000. I don't remember what it was. I have not been rate limited to be 100% honest.
Dude, if it's a few thousand and I still get rate limited,
I have
that. Yeah, no, I've definitely still gotten rate limited before on this account. And I wonder, man, it's usually in my notifications portion. It's never on my home feed, but it's always in the notifications.
I got turned off a couple days ago, but I'm poor and don't have the blue check mark.
So, I mean, what happens when you're rate limited on the main feed?
It wouldn't
You
let
just
me
sit there with the old shit and you're like,
wouldn't let me
okay, well, I
refresh
guess
anything. And I couldn't see any comments. It was pretty frustrating for someone who didn't want to talk to anybody in real life.
Are you still allowed to use the messages at all?
Yeah, I'd just been home with my kid who was sick, so I was sitting all day scrolling and ran into a wall when it all happened. It hasn't happened since, though.
How long did it take you to reach the rate limit of just like scrolling and reading?
Not that long, because I think it was like 500 or something, and it looked like it was counting. Like if you opened up the comments, that counted too, right? It was crazy.
Yeah,
But
so
I've never
I
taken
made a
the
meme. It was like I
mic here before.
just press the home button and like refreshing it just for the day. I wonder if like all those count towards your rate limit because you know how like zooms past 200 posts.
It went quick.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, good call on the Solana while I'm up here. I was down bad on a small bag, and I doubled down in the last few days. So we're actually only slightly red now, and that feels pretty decent.
Nice, man. Nice. Yeah, dude, I took some profit across the board this morning just because, I don't know. Like, will I end up regretting it? Maybe, but here's one thing that I've tried to work on over the years is just never regret taking profit. And I'm looking at it and I just have one of those feelings where I'm like, okay, it's been a solid run. Had a few winners, like had a couple losers in there, but like where there are winners, they won pretty well. So just rather than getting too greedy and have these ridiculous targets in mind, it just doesn't feel like the market is moving with the same momentum that it did a few weeks ago. So, just kind of feels a little bit more choppy and sideways. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to take a little bit of profit entering into the weekend. Usually nothing crazy happens on the weekends anyway. And, just let the charts mature a little bit. Figure out what happens from there. Not like completely axe every position, but like at least take a decent amount off the table, or where you're not sitting there looking at the charts 24/7, on Friday night, Saturday, whatever it is, and you can actually have some breathing room.
Yeah, that would have been nice if I'd had the option, but like I said, still red. So
well, bro, I mean, here's the deal. Like, because you're still red doesn't mean that you don't still have the option. I think that's a sunk cost fallacy that a lot of people have.
Yeah, I
right?
hear that.
They're like,
it's a small bag I'm sitting on until 2025. I got it staked and I'm going to wait it out. Because I'm the new guy. I wasn't even here until 2022. So I've just been kind of clawing my way up from the bottom and doing some DCA as I can, stacking what I can stake and Bitcoin as much as possible. And I'm going to sit on it all until fall 25 and hopefully not pay a mortgage anymore. Then we'll go from there.
10-4. Okay, I respect that, man. If it's a longer term stack type situation and it's not like an active trade type of portfolio, I completely get that.
Yeah, I
right?
had zero in any market in January 22 and I sold my real estate. So I kind of just went all in the last little while. So here we go. I appreciate you and what you guys are doing here because I've learned a lot listening in.
So are you a stonk holder?
I don't have any NFTs. I'm the only person I know that holds crypto.
Hey, I mean, I'm just saying, man, like it's never a bad time to get into the stonks.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't want to say this. I'm going to take heat. I don't have cold storage yet. I ordered a stacks in December and it keeps getting delayed.
Well, dude,
and I'm still on exchange for now.
Here's the deal. Like if you have an iPhone,
I do have an
or
iPhone.
If you have a laptop or a desktop,
that's all you need.
That's all you need because it's MetaMask integration for the basic first step as far as having any self-custodial wallet. And then from there, I mean, you pause a little bit, and and like boom, you have obviously there are other steps that you can take in that process as far as protecting your wallet security, recovery, etc. But as far as actual access to a self-custodial wallet, all you need is just access to basically the internet, some type of device that you control. And yeah, like those integrations with MetaMask, super, super, super simple. And, like an on-chain transaction for ETH is typically pretty quick. So you can honestly, within 5 minutes, if you have, I guess, depending on the processing / clearance time of the exchange that you're withdrawing from, you can literally have ETH on your own wallet. You can download the app, do it, and boom, you're there.
Yeah, we'll walk you through the process right now. Don't worry about it. Just download MetaMask.
We'll red pill you on stage.
Well, and to be honest, to Kaleo's point, I mean, the major attack vectors for wallets are going to be phishing scams like clicking suspicious links, or I mean, even accepting like a contract that you really shouldn't be accepting. So like, just stay away from a lot of the shady type of projects, and don't interact with anything that you probably shouldn't be interacting with. Then you're pretty much good.
Yeah,
and on top of that, let me say one other thing toward that. I think that's the most dangerous thing with NFTs isn't necessarily that you're owning an NFT. It's the fact that because you're now owning it, I think there are a lot of people that get lured into these phishing scams where they see something and they're like, oh, I own a pudgy penguin and I have the opportunity to get this free airdrop to get an igloo for my penguin because I own it. And they see this tweet and it's not from the actual Pudgy account, but they have the FOMO because something in the tweet says like, well, you have an hour to do this. So there are people that just don't really think twice about it and they don't verify anything. And then boom, next thing you know, they sign some sketchy transaction, give access to their wallet, and it gets drained for anything of value.
Yeah, exactly. And on top of that, I mean, I personally do it. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people within crypto to do it. But you can just look in someone's wallet and see what they have. So if you have a, so if you have and hold a pudgy penguin, you're likely going to be targeted, for more phishing attacks, especially if you have your personal information linked with that wallet.
Yeah, that's a good point too, right? So, that's the other quote unquote, I guess, dangerous thing from a phishing perspective that you got to be careful for if you do have a hot wallet that you're trading NFTs, hold NFTs in, is that if you look on those exchanges now, you may be dropped some Polygon, sketchy NFT, and you may end up by interacting and claiming it or sending it, you may be approving some other transaction that gives them access. So it's like you've got to, if there's something that pops up in your wallet that you don't recognize, then there's a good chance that it's just people trying to fish one way or the other, whether they're trying to get you to sign a transaction, make a transaction with it, or whether they are trying to, make it look like it's a legit collection that's had real volume and do whatever else with it. They're just trying to trick you. So like that's the most dangerous thing about having them, right? It's not actually physically doing it. It's just the fact that, if you let your guard down, it opens you up to more potential attack vectors.
And sometimes even the official accounts get compromised and will tweet out like a phishing scam or a wallet drainer, right, by like an official account. So I know like Azuki's Twitter has been hacked before. Even Ape's Twitter has been hacked before, caused hundreds of ETH and NFTs to be lost. So one of the main things is like most people nowadays don't have time sensitive like just random link drops like that. Most projects nowadays are going to give you much advanced notice that they will be releasing something at a certain time and that everything else will be a scam. So never, yeah, just never FOMO hard enough to click on something before you read it, especially if you're connecting your main wallet. And that also brings up to always have a burner. So don't just have one wallet, have two wallets.
Yeah. So I don't know. Hopefully, like that's my biggest thing, man. I never will shy away from the topic of wallet security just because I've seen it, especially, dude, like we saw what happened back in January where there were a lot of people active with the market moving for the first time in a while. And there were a lot of wallets, even in the stonk community, that were compromised that just hadn't ever been compromised before. We'd never really dealt with that issue, but you saw in a more active NFT environment more people falling susceptible to it. So I think it's important, especially if we're talking through somebody, the potential of downloading MetaMask and doing whatever for the first time. I think this is the type of stuff that you have to talk about along with it.
I appreciate that take for sure, because every time I think I've got my head wrapped around it, some big account gets hacked. Like shit, he knew way better than I did, and he got hacked. So what the hell?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And on top of that, I think another important point to make is that even if you have a cold wallet, if you're interacting with a contract and there is that secondary verification on the physical device itself, but if you're already in the zone of accepting whatever that contract is actually going to do, then you're still going to lose your assets, right? So even if you're in a cold wallet, it doesn't mean that you're impervious from phishing attacks, which I think a lot of people are kind of pushing or making the assumption a while back that if you had a cold wallet, it automatically means you're safe when that's just not true, right? It's safer than having a digital wallet, but at the same time, if you're being phished and you jump into a project where you accept a contract that's going to drain your wallet, you're still going to fall victim to that if it's cold or hot.
Yeah, I mean, it's safer, but it doesn't protect you from user error. And user error is like the number one culprit to all, quote unquote hacks or wallet drains, right? Like most of them are never hacks, your wallet's just never going to randomly just be like hacked, right? You're going to be phished, or you're going to give access somehow, right? Maybe download some malware and they lock your keystrokes, and so you input your wallet information, whatever. It's gonna mostly be user error, and your wallets are never going to be hacked per se.
Yeah. So anyway, man, lots of things to be careful for. But I mean, all of that said, like, I don't think it should scare you off from doing it, because I think one of the coolest things about NFTs that I've seen from the NFT community is that, crazy enough, the majority of NFT gens or NFT degens, I think, know more about crypto than the majority of traders. And a lot of that is just because they actually use the product, right? When you look at a bunch of these different traders that are talking there about the assets, they're not actively dabbling with these different contracts and, with the actual stuff on chain. They're doing stuff in a centralized exchange and not actually being forced to interact with the tech, which is, at the end of the day, the real reason why I think crypto has the value it has and why it has the potential for where it's going. So I think at the end of the day, if you're going to be involved in this space, that, hey, it's a decent, like, you should dabble with some of this type of stuff, and don't have to put some meaningful life investment in it. Doesn't have to be Wonky Stonks, whatever the heck it is.
No,
I
it
think
does.
it's worth dabbling. I mean, there's smarter investments than others, right? But I think at the end of the day, looking at it, it's just one of those things where it will make you better in general. And the other thing too, now is the time to be doing it, because there's going to be a period again where NFTs aren't boring, right? And whenever they're not boring, the market moves more quickly. And at that point, if you don't know what you're doing, that's when you're really susceptible to making those type of errors that we talked about before. So you want to do things whenever it's slow, whenever it is boring. So now is the time to, in my opinion, now is a better time than any to get plugged in.
And by get plugged in, he means to buy a Wonky Stonk.
Well, I
Hey, I
already
will give Alpha
I
right
already
now.
downloaded MetaMask. I'm just going through the setup while I'm listening at this point.
Let's go. So I'm going to give Alpha to everybody in the audience too. I just checked out Blur, and there's one stonk that I think is a beautiful stonk that's sitting like 25% below the rest of the floor, just there by itself. Just this deep red background, super, super clean. And it's like 0.02 something beneath all the rest of the stonks there on Blur right now. So decent, decent discount for what I think is one of the prettiest stonks in that range.
No, it's a pretty stonk. It's a forever hold. I think why it's so listed right there is because it is compromised.
Oh, it is? Shoot, I didn't
Yeah,
see
so
that.
you can't trade it on OpenSea, but I mean no one
But
even really uses that anymore anyway, so it doesn't even matter. But also, I would like to say as well, I would nominate bots for this week's stonk winner if he bought the one off the floor as like a little BOGO, as a welcome to the community. That'd be my idea, but always up to interpretation.
I'll leave that up to Lumber. So, Lumber, if you want to give bots a BOGO opportunity for being the man on stage, then I'll leave that up to you.
I like stuff like that, and yeah, I need help today to give it away. I like more input from you guys, but I'm good with that. Let's
Dude, I actually like that idea, and obviously you don't have to do this, man. If you want to, boom, great opportunity, but you don't have to. We can figure out another way to give away the stuff. But I like
no,
the idea of actually having somebody, helping somebody figure out how to buy their first NFT. And how to implement that and basically reward them for it, rather than just doing some other type of participation. Like, that's real, like, that's rewarding.
All right, I'm in. Only problem
let's
is
do
all the
it.
ETH I got is staked currently, so I guess I'll have to buy a little bit more.
All right, man. Well, I mean, hey, we're going to be rolling with this space for a while longer, so you've got some time to make it happen.
Yeah, I would say for gas fees and everything, just to be safe, I would have a total of like 0.12, and you'll definitely have like 0.01 left over. But I'd probably just for safekeepings have 0.12 over to MetaMask
Yeah,
to
you know,
get
and
that song.
that's another important thing to mention too. So, bots, if you are not like a super active ETH user, you know, I'm sure you've seen this on your timeline, but that's one of the things you'll notice with ETH. Like, you know, it has variable transaction fees, and you know, it depends on gas, and what the gas fees are is basically the what you're paying the miners, right, for your spot in the queue to be able to get verified, your transaction included in that block. So whenever the network's busier, it's more expensive. Whenever it's not as busy, it's cheaper. Right now, it's relatively, like, I think it's pretty damn cheap. It's probably like 15. Let's see this. 48. So it's a little bit more than I thought it. But I mean, 48 relative to like what it is in the bull market, that 48 is pretty average, pretty cheap, right?
Bro, like there are times where you be like begging and praying up and down to the ETH gods and the gas gods for 48 one more time to be able to sweep like your favorite project.
Dude, that's
You'll
so true.
be begging and
Well,
praying for 48.
but
So
okay, so why this is important? You don't want to have like the worst thing, the absolute worst is whenever you get a transaction that just sits there and either A, it's just pending, you know, it doesn't go through because you don't have enough gas and you're just stuck. And I think that like OpenSea, for instance, I think that they've built in a pretty good safety feature now to where they don't allow transactions that aren't going to have enough gas to be able to clear the processing time. But, you know, back in the day, dude, like that's how the legend of 661 was born. So 661 was a stonk that right after the Wonky Stonks were created, right after the mint, the floor price was continuing to climb, do whatever, but we just had this one stonk that was just sitting there that nobody could purchase. And it was a good looking stonk too, right? And we all wondered why. And we found out that it was because it was stuck in a transaction. There was somebody that tried to purchase it, but they didn't have enough gas in their wallet to be able to cover those fees. So because of that, it just continued to sit there. And it was like multiple days. Somehow, through the Discord, we were able to track down who this person was, or the community did it. And it was a community-led initiative. They sent the person ETH to their wallet to cover the transaction fee, and it was able to move. But I mean, the crazy thing was back then, like I think it was stuck at 0.27, and the stonk floor was like 0.4 or something. And OpenSea reflected what the the stuck stonk price was on its home page. So it was really deceptive as far as like metrics are concerned for the way things moved and what it actually showed versus what it actually was. But if you ever hear about the legend of 661, that was how it was born. I wish 80s Baby was here to speak about it, the current owner of 661.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head. That was a great recant of the story. Exactly what happened. Fun times.
Yeah, man. It's it's kind of crazy. What's crazy is I think we're the only two up on stage that, I definitely see people in the audience that were there during that period, but we're the only two up on stage that were there during that period.
I was there too, Kaleo.
Wait, pick on you were?
Yeah, same. I was here, wasn't active,
Wait, I didn't know both of y'all.
I saw it happen.
Take that back.
Yeah, I remember like trying to buy the stonk myself. Like seeing it on OpenSea, and I was like, "Damn, sweet, this is free."
Bro, yeah, I didn't realize y'all were that type of OGs.
Yeah, man. I mean, I minted day one, and then like I think the problem is that
I couldn't get Discord to like work on my phone in the beginning, so I just like wasn't a part of it probably for like the first couple months, and then I just like hopped in. You know, like I minted one, I bought another one like a day or two after mint, and then it took me probably like six or 7 months, and I was like, dude, fuck it, I'm riding with the Stonks. I love them.
Yeah. Personally, for me, I actually got into NFTs because of this collection, and it was right around whenever that stealth mint occurred. I was just sitting in some of the spaces, I was following up on it, and then I just loved the hype, the community, and everything you were doing. So I decided to pick one up, send it to MetaMask, buy one off OpenSea. I actually bought two that were pretty high priced at the time because I kind of FOMOed into it, but they're definitely
We all
ones that
do.
I'm never gonna get rid of it.
We all do.
so yeah, I definitely FOMOed into it, but but it's still like to this day one of my favorite collections, and I don't sell any of them once I pick them up.
Dudek, what I'm going to say is, bro, if it wasn't the Stonks, it was going to be something else. So, everybody's experienced the FOMO of something somewhere. I call
Yeah.
that. Hondo taught me this term way back in the day when I actually the funniest thing. Here's another story about Hondo I never bring up, but dude, Hondo was a degenerate options trader well before I ever even bought my first stock. I didn't even really touch the stock market outside of index funds back then. And I hear Hondo tell me these stories about how he made and lost thousands of dollars in a day. And I was like, dude, there's no way. That's insane. What you do?
Yeah.
And anyway, he always called it for any losses. He'd be like, that's just tuition. So FOMO we get at the top, that's just tuition, right? It's part of the degree.
Yeah. I remember the first time I got into sort of option trading. I bought a whole bunch of calls on Sundial before it ripped to the ripped to the heavens in the back of the beginning of the bull market, and I saw that value just disintegrate in a matter of like a day. Luckily, I was able to cash out some, but still, it would have been nice to just take all of it off the table.
Yeah, well, I mean, like the thing is too, though, it might have been better safekeeping because if you look back at other projects from 2021, uh, first of all, there aren't many that have had a sale in the last month, maybe even all of 2023, let alone have held up pretty well comparatively. So even FOMO in at the top of the stonks in 21 is still probably have saved you more money than any other project you would have been able to buy for that price back then.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think, at that time there were a lot of nice ones out there that you could buy. I mean, I'm not all Wonky Stonks are beautiful, of course, but I'm just saying there were a lot of them that were absolutely gorgeous at the time. Like, trying to find the Miami Vice ones now, it's kind of difficult. Trying to find the real vibrant, colorful ones, good luck.
Too many snipers out there now. Everybody has a trained eye. Back then, everybody was a rookie. It's like when a video game first drops and everybody just sucks at it. But then, and it's like pretty fun in the beginning because like no one's good at all. Everyone just like running around like idiots. But then, after it's been out a year or so, people have been playing this shit for like fucking 12 hours a day. Yeah, it gets sweaty. Now, if a Miami Vice is dropped anywhere within 2x of the floor, it's gone pretty quickly. I haven't seen a Miami Vice, under 2x floor. And
well, at least not one that stays listed long.
Yeah, exactly. At least not one that stays listed for longer than 5 minutes.
Yeah, dude. It's it is funny. So actually, one other correction, I guess I'll say, the stonks were free mint, but you could also, I think overall, if you wanted to mint more than one per wallet, it was 0.07 for the mint. So the overall average mint cost was like 0.011 was the average, right? So I'm really curious, looking at that, how many collections from that time period? And legitimately, how many? Not the percentage, because I know the percentage is less than 1%. But how many collections from that time period are still above their mint price? even, right? Like not their all time, not the whatever, but just the mint price.
I think you're talking like penguins, apes.
I was going to say that like they're probably maybe 20, 30, 40 out there tops, right? Like
Yeah,
I
I'd say top. Definitely
I'd say less
not
than
over
50.
50. Yeah, definitely not over 50.
Like I really just, which I know maybe I'm stretching here, but I'm trying to think out of collections that were minted in 2021, name me 50 that are above their mint price. And
Honestly, shit, name me 10 off the top of your head that are above mint price without having to look at anything.
dude, I don't know, but I know, like, I know I know there are more, but I mean, point being, there aren't a ton out there. I can name a lot more off the top of my head that are well below their mid price. That I mean, like, and the ones that I'm thinking about, dude, these aren't just like these are ones that were super hyped that everybody on the timeline had an honorary. You know, you could go down the list of all the different superlatives that these other projects had and the millions of dollars that they minted out. And I just like
That was the name of one of them, superlative. That was literally the name of one of them.
really.
That was a 2021 project.
Well,
Yeah, that had
the
like
funny
a
thing is,
lot of
man,
hype.
I can think through and like as I'm digging through old tweets or I'm like looking at interactions between myself and some of my other friends or something else, like, dude, I get the memory of some of these old projects that all of a sudden pops up. And I look at it and like the majority of these, they just kind of let die quietly, right? Like there wasn't really anything said about it. There was nothing else. It's just, I think one day they just decided, oh, this isn't going anywhere and it died off.
No, yeah. I mean,
Like,
NFTs is the land of letting anybody get away with anything after 1 week. 1 week, everybody's forgotten about whatever they've done wrong, ready to mint the next thing, ready to buy the next coin they drop. Like you got 1 week of bad rep, and then nobody gives a shit anymore. And if it's new and shiny, like it'll do something. But yeah, no, I've seen a couple of my old tweets too. Honestly, 2021 was pretty cringe in the time of NFTs. Like we were doing some really, really stupid shit that like
bro,
just
you
thinking
remember
back.
Pastel World?
Yes, bro.
Like it, you know, came out right after Azuki. It was supposed to be this big thing. Like I can name 50 people that all had a Pastel World honorary, and what happened?
Yeah, then there was like the sevens too, like the Mechaverse. Yeah, no, it was a fun time. But yeah, pretty much nothing is
I'm
doing
curious. Have
anything
we
now.
flipped Mechaverse yet? Has it finally?
I think at one point this year we did.
No. Oh wait, I'm looking at the wrong collection. I looked at a completely different one. Never even heard of that one. I guess I need to look on OpenSea.
Or the Hape. You remember the Hape Prime?
Yeah,
The
we're right
3D.
there. Stonks and Mechaverse are basically the same price.
Yeah,
That's
except one went
insane.
to 6 ETH.
That's insane. And their mint price was what, 3 ETH or something?
No, their mint price was 0.2.
Oh, was it 0.2?
Yeah.
But they just
They
started trading around 3 or
yeah, because they did that raffle lottery. They were the first. This was like peak immediately after Apes did their huge run, right? This is peak, like, holy shit, what are NFTs? Then it was like the first new Twitter account, NFT Twitter account to get over like 100K followers, and that happened within like a week. And, there's like 80,000 wallets that signed up for the raffle or whatnot. And then, yeah, they immediately started trading at 6 ETH afterwards. Yeah.
I don't know, but I think you ask the average person what future there is for Mechaverse. Like I really just, nobody's talking about it. I think that it's just slowly bleeding to zero, slowly happening, right? So I think that's the difference too, looking at it, where, they had 50,000 plus ETH volume, or 50,000 plus ETH volume. They had a floor price that was up as high as like close to 4 or 5 ETH, all these different things that were talked about leading into it, and it just led to disappointment. So I think like that's the big difference between projects like that than projects that had this hype and then never delivered and quietly died. And then with Wonky Stonks, where it was something that was, there were no promises. It was something that was a free mint that didn't have the hype. It was stealth launch with that. The dude, I've had every opportunity in the world to be able to walk away from, right? And just say, well, it is what it is. Every opportunity in the world. Easily could have done that by now. And, point being, it's like, I'm still here with it. I'm not going to go anywhere. And like the stonks aren't going to go anywhere either. And I think that's the thing that, it still kind of blows my mind just how slept on they are right now. Like, yeah, it's one of those things. Could we go in, like, easily sweep up a lot, like, I actually kind of like the low, slow growth. I think that there's something really healthy to low, slow organic growth as far as building that foundation for where the project heads down the road. Because again, if you get too hyped too fast and it's not organic, it leads to disappointment, right?
Bro, what had me cracking up was, even though it was a free first mint for anybody during that time, December, January, February, immediately after, people still had the nerve to be like, "Why are we getting rugged right now?" Like, that shit was cracking me up during the time. So much fun in the Discord during in the Christmas time and the New Year's immediately after. Built a lot of strong connections, though.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I think I had just like lost a few $1,000,000 and I wanted a break from Twitter. So I I took a little break from Twitter. And I think during that period, like, the expectations of everybody were, again, like, it was something, there wasn't anything that was promised along with it. Just, they're like, oh, this is a rug. And it's like, dude, how is there a rug if there's nothing that's promised?
Well, it's funny, during that time, people are like, okay, well, where's the mutant stonks? Or where's the animated stonks?
Oh, yeah, because they're all the derivatives, right? And everybody expected an immediate derivative. Yeah. No, man, like, and that's the thing too. I really still do think there's an amazing opportunity for LedgArt down the road to be able to grow and incubate different collections. And I still have that vision, but it's one of those things where, my biggest thing still, and like, it's just, I really think that there's something to continuing to just grow and incubate the initial collection, prove like, X amount of viability. And, like, I don't know if there's a specific number in mind for like what the value of the actual NFT or anything else is, but I do think that there's something toward not diluting that initial collection until there's enough demand to really drive in. And, like, it's got to be a supply demand type thing, right? So right now, I think there's importance to just being patient, growing, incubating what you have. And then by the time, man, that like there is an opportunity where there's more momentum, more demand in the broader market, that's where you start to look and say, okay, what else can I potentially bring in here to be able to complement and that initial collection, and to be able to drive strength as a whole. But it should never be the primary, like, the primary collection for releasing, or the primary reason for releasing a new collection should never be to drive demand in in some other collection, right? Like, that should never be the primary motive whatsoever. So that's my whole thing. I'm not in a rush for anything like that. I believe that the NFT marketplace is going to reach this point of growth, sustained growth and opportunity again. So in the meantime, it's just about being patient, maintaining the vibes that are here, and like, whatever happens in the meantime.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Azuki just took a fucking 60% It's almost 70% haircut in the matter of what, a 4-day span, by dropping another.
Yo, they got their bag though.
Yeah, I mean they did. They raised 40 million about quick as shit. Didn't even have to go to anybody else except for members of their own community. They were able within 10 minutes they were able to successfully raise $40 million from people who were already a part of their ecosystem. Now, that is impressive.
Dude, it's insane. And I still just think the most insane thing about this, Dime's in the audience right now, like Dime will can appreciate and laugh toward this. Like, what company is out there that raises $40 million and then the very next day everybody that gave them the money to do that's like, this is the worst thing ever. I hate this. Like, it's terrible. I'm so bearish on the company and the platform. Like, no, it doesn't happen. Typically, if somebody gets a $40 million investment, they're like the hottest thing on the street. People can't stop talking about them and giving them superlatives.
No, yeah. I mean, if it's one thing that especially the NFT community loves to do, it is fud their own bags. Like they would. I see more people fud their own bags than like try to pump them and give exposure to their bags. Right? I almost feel like they look at that negatively. Like it's almost flipped. It's like you on the timeline. You can't say you like anything, otherwise people are going to say you're like a paid grifter. You can only fund your own bags, and everyone else is along with it. I don't know. It's a pretty funny dynamic to see how people tweet.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of a mentally deranged place. Okay, actually, while we're on the topic of like how mentally deranged people are, I want to talk about Threads for a second. So, Threads, dude, the thing, and here's the deal. We slightly touched on this at the beginning. I think that we would be remiss to completely ignore it, completely fade it, and not do anything on there, because I do think that there will be, looking at it, there's going to be some type of audience that ends up growing and incubating on Threads. Right?
And you know what audience it is? It's a great audience to have. Those are the same 50,000 people that minted the Trump NFTs and that had no idea how to sell.
Well, actually, rewind that. I think the Trump NFT mentors are more on Twitter. This is like if Biden came out with a collection, they're the ones on the
Hey, well, you are joining the Fediverse, though.
So, but point being, there's going to be some type of an audience, and I think that it's easy for me to sit there and be frustrated and be like, oh, I've already got a platform here that's massive. Why would I want to completely restart over there all my work? And I just think that's kind of lazy. That's something I started to sit down and think about. And I'm like, man, that's a lazy approach, right? Because if I don't, somebody else will.
So Clay, I have a question for you. So if you have this mindset, what's stopping you from saying going to Mastodon when that was picking up steam? Because for me, like when I see the 30 million, active users that they obtained during those first 24 hours, I personally think that's pretty unimpressive, considering there's over I think there's like close to 2 billion or like 1.8 billion users on Instagram, and they were all prompted to download Threads and get their profile on there, and they only got 30 million. So coming from the entire network
of 80 million now.
Yeah. So but coming from the entire network of Facebook and Instagram, they only got like a fraction of their total base.
Well, the growth arc I think is still pretty quick. Just thinking about the average person, like when you get prompted to updates from the App Store, I only do it like once every week or two anyway, right? So a prompt to download this other thing, I think that there's something behind social networks where it has the potential to be able to, as more people use it, more people continue to see it, more people continue to be driven toward it. I think that there's going to be some staying power just with the overall like, you look at Mastodon, they don't have what we talked about there as far as just that automatic funnel of users toward it.
Yeah.
And I really think that it's the integration and the level of funding that they have that really separates it from a lot of these other attempts at Twitter knockoffs that makes it impossible to completely ignore. So, like, I'm not sitting on there like one of these guys that's sitting grinding, hustling 24/7 on Threads, but like, I'd be remiss to say that I don't think that it's worth doing something on a little bit just to get a little bit of a voice there.
Yeah, I'm
Because
kind of curious how people actually get a voice there, because like for me at least, if I'm discovering things on Twitter, I could like search hashtag Wonky Stonks or search stonks or search crypto, maybe NFTs, and then I stumble across something like that.
all algorithm
But
right now.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like how difficult is it to compete against content that probably advertisers are going to be paying top dollar for to put their posts in everyone's feeds at the very top.
Well, he did say that he's not going to allow any advertising / monetization of the platform until there are 1 billion users. After the first billion.
Okay.
So right now it's not in there, and they've got a lot to work on. But what I was initially going to say is, dude, as far as the mental, like people being mentally deranged, it's just all people. The entire feed is just GM, bro. Oh, that's like the best thing I've ever read. Nice, man. Keep it up. Like just this fake positivity that is just so easy to see through. And it's just because people want to have their name be fed into this, the algo be able to push them on the top and grab more engagement. And it's just this echo chamber of like fraud. And it's so frustrating because you get on there and it's all I want some of the negative content. Give me something real, man. But that's just me. So I mean, it
No,
is kind of crazy.
I 100% agree with you on that. I mean, it's kind of like you go on LinkedIn and there's only positive things about businesses, or it's just like LinkedIn, or just like the comment section for your Instagram. Yeah, but it's kind of rough. I honestly already uninstalled it. I tried it out, but I just couldn't get into it. But I do like. I'll give them this. I like the sleek UX they have, like the UX UI. It's pretty aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, man. Sometimes basic is better. I will say this. Like, I haven't used light mode in forever for Twitter, and going over there and having the light mode as a switch up, I kind of like it. Like, I might have to go back to light mode on Twitter.
So speaking of mentally deranged, no, I'm playing. But Kaleo, actually, I do have people in the DMs asking me when the next poker tournament.
Yo, bro, we did this like a few weeks ago.
Don't shoot the messenger.
If I had to guess, I would say probably sometime maybe August, September at the latest, but probably August is what I'll shoot for. So somewhere in that time range. Maybe we'll do it right as like football season kicks off, and somewhere around there might be a good time. So,
Hey, Kayla, I just wanted to add in real quick that next week will be the last week I'll be giving away stonks. It's the crescendo, so to speak, and I'll be giving away 3 stonks that day to cap it off.
what a legend.
And then, there is, sorry to interrupt you there, but there is one other contest I'm doing right now because it's fun, man. But I asked people to pick the winner of the U.S. Women's Open, and only like 6 people, 8 people gave me their choices. So there's a chance to win a stonk there as well.
Yo, pin it up at the top, man. Pin it up at the top. Let more people from the space enter. But I was going to say, next week. Okay, here's the thing: the struggle for next week. I may not be able to join the space. So and here's why. Unless something happens last minute, I am a volunteer leader with Young Life, and there is a summer camp that I am going to help lead this next week, and I will not be able to get away from my phone. Now, I can still have Hondo host the space from here, but I'm just letting you know that I will not. Most likely, I might be able to find some time, right, and sneak away, but odds are I probably won't. So you guys probably won't have me next week as big of a, because it is like a Thursday through a Tuesday type of thing. So yeah, just heads up for that. So as far as the big giveaway, maybe lumber, I would maybe push that off another week. I'm not saying to not give away any, during that time period, but you might have a bigger participation if I'm there with it.
Hey, I go with the flow, so that sounds fine. Maybe we'll push the big giveaway for another, the following week, but we'll definitely do one stonk next week then.
Okay, and then you can do 2 the week after that.
Sure.
And then, so I'm going to need you guys to carry the vibes while I'm not there, but there will be a space. So, by the way, let me see real quick. Yeah, anything else on the thread side? Because Rooster, I want to, like you said, you downloaded it, deleted it. Like, I'm curious, like what?
No, I didn't say I deleted it. I said I downloaded it. I just haven't used it yet.
Gotcha. Oh yeah, the other thing, aside from fake positivity, there are like 2 main topics on threads: fake positivity and threads on how to get more engagement on threads from people that don't even have like many followers, and they're just sitting there, and it's been like 2.5 days, and they're all of a sudden gurus on, hey, you want to get engagement, here are the things to get engagement. And it's like, how many threads can I read on what you need to do on threads to get more engagement?
It's exactly like how it is on here with like Twitter. I mean, not Twitter AI. Like, you need to do these 10 things to leverage AI that will, boost your productivity. It's like all over my feed. Like every other, post is like some, AI guru on how to, be a legend with AI.
I mean, I honestly think there's got to be one of those that I think it works for the people, or why would they do it? So, I mean, I really think the real thing is you write a thread on like how to get more engagement and followers, and put on there as one of the steps, write a thread on how to get more engagement and followers. Right? Like
It's like
that's
the
a necessary
meme,
step.
bro, with the astronaut and the gun in outer space, like the always has been meme. That's what that just sounded like to me.
Yeah, basically. It's like an episode of Black Mirror.
How to get engagement? You write a thread about writing threads about
it's
how
like
to
the
get
very
engagement.
first episode of Black Mirror from this new season.
Well, people don't know that, that person who's making that thread, they don't know that they don't have any, like, they don't know that they're not a guru, right? So people will just believe anyone who's writing threads about getting engagement because they don't really know. I mean, if you put like some thirst trap picture on there and say, okay, this is how you get engagement, I'm sure people believe it just because like people believe. I think more or less there's that phenomena where the more attractive you are, the more believable you are. So you just have to put some like hot person in there as your photo and then write a thread and you'll be good.
Yeah, I will say, I think that one thing I have noticed too, I'm interested to see how much the growth and activity continues there as the hyper growth that you initially have goes away. because I think that's one part of why people loved it there to begin with, is just that they got so much engagement, right? The issue is, as it loses some of that novelty and it's not as shiny and new as it was, you're not going to get the same level of influx of new users there. So like now I'm looking at it, I think the rate of my follower growth has started to dissipate. I'm not just getting followers every second on there now. And I think that what ends up happening from that, you realize, okay, well, this isn't as fun anymore. When I'm not getting the dopamine triggers, it loses a little bit of what made it fun.
Yeah. You get past that initial hype, and then you have to see if, it has, a stable set of users. Because I mean, that's kind of what Mastodon did. I mean, they were pretty much pulling a lot of people off of Twitter at the time. I mean, they didn't have another network to bolster their, network off of. But I mean, they pulled people off for a while. They had a massive surge in users, and then once the hype died off, it became, I don't know what it is now, but it's definitely not what it was
I
when it
never
was hyped up.
downloaded it.
Yeah, I didn't try it, but I know that there were a bunch of metrics, showing just this exponential growth, because like the media was pushing it to, try and get people off Twitter, because, it's all misinformation and fake news on Twitter, obviously. So, you have to go to Mastodon or things like that. So.
Well, hey, let's just say this as an example, and I know that it's a different platform, but like Clubhouse, right? Everybody loved Clubhouse when it first came out. Twitter Spaces killed it within an instant, so I know it's different, but I just remember how many people, whenever Clubhouse first came out, that were linking their Clubhouse Spaces and were getting on there doing that. So two different products, but similar type of idea, where it was this new product that was super hyped at the beginning that ended up just kind of like dying down. I mean, who uses Clubhouse anymore? Are there Clubhouse? I think there are still Clubhouse users, but dude, I think that it is, like, rather than growing like it should at this rate, it's declining.
Didn't like Gary V pop that up, like he was behind a lot of that activity. I know he was promoting it for a while.
I mean, there were a lot of people that used it there at the beginning. And the sad thing about Clubhouse, I have a really OG handle on Clubhouse. I was an early user, and my handle is just Kaleo.
All right, guys, I got a transfer pending. You've won one over today.
Let's go. So wait, you got a transfer pending to your MetaMask,
to
or
send some ETH to my MetaMask.
Okay, and then from there we got to walk you through how to connect your wallet to Blur. And it's blur.io, blur.io. That's exciting, man.
Dude, I want to say, I feel like this is the first time I've ever been on a space where like this sequence of events has happened. So it's pretty dope, actually. Nice job, Cleo, Rooster, and Bots. Congrats to you, man.
And Bots is doing this for the win, right? To get that win, that stonk today.
Yes, sir. He is.
Honestly, I might have done it anyways. I've been following Kaleo for a while, and like I said, I'm new, so I appreciate people that are out there just dropping information and not really asking for anything in return. And well, I guess until now.
Hey, I mean, it's not asked at this point.
I'm joking. I'm joking,
learn,
man.
And you got something from
it. I'm dipping my toe in and getting my hand held, walking through the baby steps. And for someone who's not from a technical background, that's a big deal. So thanks, guys.
Yes, sir, man. Well, welcome to not just the stonks, but welcome to NFTs. And, well, I mean, heck, welcome to the on-chain world in general. So, I really do think there's a difference between just saying that you're kind of interested in Bitcoin or Ethereum and actually using them. And like, that's the cool thing about NFTs. You're using them.
As I said, I hadn't used anything yet. I'd just been accumulating, but I joined the Whole Coiner Club, and I guess now I'm a MetaMasker, so I don't know how many more steps there are. Own some NFTs is next.
I know when I first set up MetaMask, I was scared shitless.
I'd really like it if that transaction wasn't pending anymore.
I mean, hey, here's the thing. Dude, it takes a while as far as, like, number one, it's probably pending because it takes a while for the, it takes longer withdrawing
Exchanges
from
like block theirs every 15 minutes. They don't
Yeah.
just immediately send it out into
It depends on the
blockchain.
exchange, right? It depends on the exchange they use, but they all have different processing times where they, as far as when they allow the transactions to actually go through after you send it. I mean, yeah, but it'll typically happen within 15 minutes. Unless there's just like a huge backlog and massive fees, sometimes they push it back a little bit, but yeah, I mean, you'll have it on there within 10-15 minutes, but that is something where it does take typically a little longer than if you just send it from one wallet to another wallet. A centralized exchange, getting it off of there typically takes just a little bit longer than a normal transaction. And, like anything else too, whenever you are sending, and this is something that I wouldn't ever mess with if you're a new user, just go with whatever the suggested gas fees are. But remember what we were talking about, how gas is basically your prioritization in line. When the network's super clogged, you can pay more gas to kind of skip the line. Or if you don't need it sent in a super whatever, quick time window, you can pay a little bit less and just wait a while longer. Actually, this brings up one of my buddies. I hate the concept of paid parking. I think it comes from, growing up in a small town. But I had a buddy that I think actually made a great point of it recently, after living in the city for X amount of years. I appreciate paid parking more now because it is a service that guarantees you a result versus like if you don't have it, the wars of trying to find it and go out there and get it, you know, it's the same type of thing as like paying more gas, right? Like you get what you're paying for. If you want the convenience, if you want the ease, you pay X fee. If not, you spend a little bit more time searching for something. Maybe you get lucky and you squeeze your way into a good spot somewhere close. But otherwise, it's like, yeah, you pay for what you get. And I like having that optionality.
That's so true. I mean, paying for ease it's a winner.
Yo, Razik, welcome up to the stage, man. It has been a while since I have heard your beautiful voice. What is going on, sir?
Hey, Kaleo. Hey, everyone. How's it going? It's been a long time. I can't remember when I've last spoken. I think it was the 1 year anniversary. Got myself a hoodie to celebrate. So that would have been what, November last year. Good to see everyone. Good to hear everyone.
Hey, yo, tell me, what do you think of that hoodie, Razik? Is it not one of the most comfortable hoodies?
Oh man, the hoodie is so awesome. I wear it everywhere, and I live in a small town in the UK, so no one actually recognizes it. But people look at it, and they're all like, "Man, that's a cool hoodie." Although I decided to get the medium because I'm one of those weird people that really likes a fitted hoodie. So some people like their hoodies really baggy. I like my hoodie to be like super fitted, so I got a medium. It fits great. Fits great.
Nice, man. Love it. Love it.
Just wanted to say though, I really wanted to give a shout out to Lumber. I mean, all the stuff, dude, you're posting on Twitter, just keep going. Just keep like firing every day. It's just relentless. So it's really awesome to see you just sort of promoting the Wonkies on Twitter all the time. I really enjoy seeing your posts. So yeah, keep it up. That's fantastic. And I think Andy's the other one who's doing it all the time. It's really good to see. So yeah, nice one.
Yeah, we've got multiple, can't leave out another one that I see all the time with the stonk post, Wall Street Bull 6.
Oh yes, yeah. These guys
Right?
are just posting every day, just posting wonky stuff, and it's so good to see them. It's great. It's just fantastic. It's such a great project, and it's funny, isn't it? Like now looking at it, you got to pay like what 0.1 ETH just for like for a wonky, but if you want the colors, you got to pay almost like 0.2 now, 0.25.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, if you want like a wonky gradient type of thing, then yeah, there's still a huge discrepancy. That's kind of what Rooster brought up earlier. Like if you want the Miami Vice type of vibe, like what your profile picture has, you're not getting that at the floor.
No, and you're not even seeing them get dropped on the floor anymore. Remember, you used to see them get dropped on the floor all the time around like late 21. People were just dropping gradients and random 1%ers on the floor. That you don't see that anymore at all. It's great.
Yeah, I'm at the point where the one that I'm rocking now, I'm not sure if I can ever sell it. It's like such a great stonk. I mean, the God candle right there, smack dab in the middle. Nice clean color for the PFP.
Super high return.
Yeah, like over 400 or right around 400% return. Like that's a grail stonk. I'm not sure if I can, no matter what. I mean, there's a price for everything, but we're nowhere near like prices I would get rid of the stonk for. It'd be like a 10x over floor. Like if floor's at 2 ETH, I'm gonna need like 20 ETH to get rid of this stonk.
That's pretty funny. I've got a funny story actually. It's kind of just I don't know what it doesn't really matter what people think, but at some time around maybe April 22, I started to become a bit of a Bitcoin maxi, and I kind of am now, which is fine. Some people agree, some people don't. But the funny thing is, I've been going to the local Bitcoin meetups in my area, but I've been rocking the Stonks hoodie. And these people, you know what Bitcoin maxis are like. They don't obviously they would frown on anyone who was into NFTs. But they ask me, oh yeah, we talk about Bitcoin, and I tell them, look, I own everything in Bitcoin except I love the Wonky Stonks and I own these NFTs. And I'm trying to sell these dudes NFTs because they're great NFTs. And you should see the way they look at me. But they love the art. Like the art's pretty cool. These are cool things. If you're going to be into NFTs, these are the ones you want to get. But it's pretty funny rocking the old Wonky Stonk hoodie to the Bitcoin Maxi meetups.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to rock mine at the next Bitcoin Maxi meetup that I go to here. That is funny.
Very good. Yeah, and nice one, guys. I just thought I'd pop in quickly, and just to say also, there's two really nice itchies for sale at the moment. I think there's one at like 0.27 and a really nice one at 0.39 that I've been looking at. That just it's one of those really nice gradients, but it's tempting just to smash by it.
Well, Razik, you know what the advantage right now of whenever the market's quiet, it allows you to be patient and it allows you to kind of be selective and be a picker, right?
Yeah.
Whenever things move quick, you don't have that advantage. You basically have to like FOMO into whatever. But right now, I'm telling you, dude, that's why I think right now is honestly a lot of fun. I bring it up all the time. I love it whenever it's quiet. I love it whenever we can sit through here and have like a full hour space and give, bots the opportunity to be able to scoop up the cheap stuff without having to worry about somebody else snagging it. Like, it just allows you to be able to really grow the community in a healthy way. And I am so confident that there will be another period where the market is not like this and that it's insane again, and that the stonks will be there whenever that happens and that we'll move along with it. But, I've got no fear of that whatsoever. I mean, maybe I'm a little bit biased, but it goes back to what I brought up earlier. I've had every opportunity to walk away from this project. I'm not going to, right? Like, heck, I guess if you asked me when would I ever potentially walk away from the stonks, I'd have to look at it and say, okay, right? Like, me walking away makes zero impact on this project. at this point, right? Like, if me walking away made absolutely zero impact, if it ever got to that point where, the stonks are tens of ETH, and that happens, and like there is the whole subset community, kind of like what happened with the punks Discord, where something like that is happening, that would be like the only way, right? Outside of that, there's just something about my nature, as far as my pride for sticking with something that I've started, that I am determined that the stonks will be great, right? Like, when I talk about the wonky stonks are inevitable, that's what I mean by it. Like, I am fully confident that they're inevitable, because I am confident that my platform and voice are both inevitable, right? Like, that I am going to find a way to hustle to be heard, and that everyone in this community are going to continue to build and do great things themselves as well. So, like, when I look at that, I've got zero doubt whatsoever that the stonks are going to be something great. So like I'm okay with whatever short-term fluctuations happen in the meantime. It doesn't really, there's no concern with that whatsoever. So I love these days. I love, having the opportunity to do things slowly, because again, you look back and these are the days you appreciate whenever things do move fast.
Man, the floor is pretty thin, and you can see that the fluctuations are pushing the stonks into stronger hands every cycle. Like, after what happened, was it in January, when they just went nuts during the bottom of the Bitcoin bear market? I mean, that was insane. Watching the stonks go up to what, 0.4, 0.5. Yeah, just moving from weaker hands to stronger hands, and you can see it in the floor. People who are behind them love them. So yeah, I'm sure, no doubt that they are going to stick around for a long time.
Well, dude, if you look at it from like a charting perspective with that, so they like retested basically the all-time high in terms of ETH price. But if you look at like what they're doing on a chart perspective, they're almost making like this 2-year plus, a 2-year cup and handle where, they're slowly right now. I feel like we're at the base of that handle, and, it's slowly, you got your base slowly starting to curve back. And I think whenever it eventually like does retest that area, from a technical perspective, breaking back through it again would be incredibly bullish. And I think that like it's even beauty looking at the chart of the chart of the chart of the art that is charts. Like, because it's, there's something that's slowly forming and developing there too, and it's like I can see it, and I love just like this slow, beautiful progression that it's painting, because it again just goes back toward that narrative of where I see the project heading in the long term as well. So it's something that it all goes together. If you appreciate charts, you appreciate art, like, I don't know how you can't not like the stonks. Crypto Vortex, welcome up to the stage.
Hi, mate. Thanks for having me here. I guess I kind of have two short questions. I get that you have a long-term view on this project. I'm not too familiar with NFTs, or that have been in crypto for about 3 or 4 years. My question is that obviously with most altcoins, most of them, I'd say maybe 80 or 70% of them become relics of a prior cycle. So, if we look at what happened in 2017, we had the likes of, Dash, Monero, Bitcoin Cash, obviously it's pumped recently, like on all those type of coins, and they've started to become relics over time. My question would be, is that something, could that be something similar or congruent with NFTs? Could we see certain new NFT projects? And what makes you bullish on this specific one over the longer term?
Well, one, I'm bullish on this specific one for the longer term because it is my project.
That's valid.
I think that does, and why I say that again, when I'm talking about the direction of the project itself and the staying power, going back towards saying I'm confident that I'm going to continue to have a voice in this space, and looking at the community and the way they've rallied, heck, even times where like I haven't been able to be as active, and how they've continued to maintain momentum for the stonks. Like, I look at that and I really think that it has an opportunity to be a leader. And I think one of the things that does differentiate, the stonks and give it that opportunity for the next cycle and differentiates it from your average altcoin is, the stonks aren't something that have some sort of utility, where I think utility is something in this space that is very easy to be, somebody else can come up with something that does what you do more efficiently. Somebody else can come up with something that you do that has some type of sexier new appeal, right? But when you're talking about art, I think that history and time usually adds toward the demand for the art itself. Like, looking at the punks, it wasn't the last cycle, the punks didn't become valuable because there was some new added utility to it, right? They became more of a flex. And like, I look back to my old RuneScape days with like, the different in-game holiday things that they had, like their party hats or whatever else that had no utility in the game, but they were a flex because of the certain period that they came from. And I really look at that. And I think that that's one of the things that differentiates it from altcoins is, again, the fact that it is an art-based project. The history is something that adds toward the value. But, toward that point, I think there will be a lot of relics that don't move, that do get left behind. Just like what you're talking about with some of those old dinos that slowly get forgotten. So you have to just, I think, whenever you're trying to decipher what are going to be the forgotten projects and what are going to be the ones that have a chance of being those leaders into the next cycle, I think you have to look at the full picture of the project itself, from the, the purpose to the art, the utility to everything else surrounding it, and kind of make your judgment call from there.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you, and that's a totally different perspective, which I haven't thought about. How it's similar to art. The only thing I would say is that for me, at least, and I think for majority of investors, NFTs are a heavily risk on asset. And I know you were talking about long term, but I think for the time being, NFTs and altcoins, I'd say NFTs are maybe slightly more risky than altcoins, and I think in general those asset classes will track net liquidity quite well, net US liquidity, and if you add another couple central banks in there as well, if you just look at total three against net USD liquidity, is really interesting to look at because it honestly attracts it really well. So I think the narrative that we need for NFTs and maybe altcoins, I think at the end of the day, is just QE. So what I'm looking for personally, for when I invest in or look at certain NFTs, obviously it's all the things you mentioned: community, staying power. Two things I would add is the value against Ethereum, how well that's held up, or value against certain coins over time. And then also the macro picture. As soon as we get QE, people talk about short-term things which happen. Okay, the ETF would be nice. People talk about student loans or the debt ceiling. I think the only important narrative crypto needs, NFTs, Bitcoin, alts, whatever you want to call it, is QE and liquidity. I think liquidity is everything.
So are you saying QE's in quantitative easing?
Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure that I'm tracking with you there. Yeah. I think that's smart. I respect the perspective that you have coming toward it. And I think that's one of the things that I brought up kind of with Razik just a little bit ago, was just saying that, right now, honestly, now's not the time where you need to be FOMOing in. I think if you see a project and, like, say, for instance, that you don't have a stonk and you want to invest in the stonks, I wouldn't say to anybody, except for bots. Like bots, I think you got a great opportunity because you got the BOGO going from lumber. But, I just don't think that it's something where you have to be like, oh, I'm going to FOMO into this right now, right? You have the opportunity to be selective with adding to collections you do have that higher time frame conviction in. And I think that's the thing, the mentality that you need to have in the NFT marketplace right now. Be selective, be with something that you can hold through a little bit of volatility, a little bit of ups and downs, and, go from there. And when you're talking about the overall ETH, like in terms of ETH and how it's held up, dude, I mean, I think honestly it's been something that's encouraged me too. Like looking at the stonks from now versus a year ago. A year ago, the stonks were chopping between 0.03 and 0.05 ETH, and they did that for basically, like, let's see, 8, 9 months, Rooster. Does that sound right? Like,
Yeah, I mean it was back from like April to November.
yeah, something like that. And like looking at it now, where it's been chopping, they've been chopping between point 0.1 and 0.15, or I mean 0.2, whatever you want to say. That whole area, they've been chopping there since like February. So like just looking at the overall accumulation range of now versus a year ago, like you see the general growth. And what I talked about as far as like the cup and handle type perspective from the chart, as far as what I'm looking at, you know, the peak for this previous pump back in January peaked out at where the initial peak in October of 2021 did, which was right in that like, 0.3 to 0.4 ETH area. And, again, where I'm just looking at like the base range of where the initial one was and how we've got a higher base range now. That's where you've got your overall cup, and that's where you're forming your handle, where it's a little bit elevated from the initial one. And that's why, looking at traditional terms as far as like the supply demand growth picture, it's beautiful how it's painting just a classic technical pattern on the higher time frame chart in terms of ETH. And I think that it's something that will end up playing out. I mean, to be determined. Obviously, there's a lot of risk with any asset that you're talking about. But in the meantime, like it's easier to hold something if you like the art as well. So that's important. But yeah, like point being, dude, I think there are a lot of those signs that you're talking about when you look at the stonks, you look at where we are, you look at the growth of the picture as a whole. But, you've got time, be patient, find what you like and accumulate it whenever it's, at a point that you're like, that you're comfortable with.
Yeah, no,
It's good to
100%. Thanks for answering my question, mate. And I appreciate all your logical and rational analysis. I've been following you for a while now, and honestly, you're one of the best people to follow out there on CT, because you're constantly producing valuable content. Not just BS calls. Just being a bull 1,000,000% of the time and calling for stupid price targets. You really do pursue that rational and logical analysis, and I think that's very helpful for new people and novices in the space. I just want to thank you for that.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Vortex. Hot Rod, what's going on?
Hi, what's up? Actually, it's my first time talking over here with you guys. So, so basically, it's an honor to be with you guys. Since last year, I was recommended to join your group by Pick God, and have been part of the group since then. Since I earned the Wonky from a competition.
Let's go. I see that it's your banner.
Yeah, and I've been holding it since then. Yeah, I've seen a lot of growth in the ETH, the value of it. It increased a lot. I was very impressed by this. I'm still so impressed.
Love to hear it, man. Love to hear it. So have you accumulated any other
Yeah.
Wonky Stonks since then?
Yeah. So I just wanted to ask you something a little bit to go off the topic. I mean, the purpose of me coming to ask you was to ask you about this. I have this NFT group. They are really impressed by our group, and they wanted to have a shared space with you people. Are you willing to do it or not? Just wanted to know, like, I don't know how to give an approach to this. This is my first time asking for.
Tough to say without knowing who they are. Shoot me a DM. I'll take a look at the DM and
I can give you all the details.
Yeah, dude. If you could just shoot me the details in a DM and kind of let me know what you were thinking for it, I can look through and let you know if I think it's something that makes sense. But I definitely appreciate you.
Yeah, sure.
That. We've had
whenever
some really
you're comfortable,
healthy,
you can. Yeah.
We've had some healthy shared spaces in the past. So
Sure. I mean, they are willing to look for more and more people who are already, been in a long run, and they are willing to have a shared space with a lot of people. And I think you may have heard this group called Safe Souls.
I have not. Yeah, again, if you just shoot me the info through it, I can look through and let you know if
Sure.
it's something that makes sense on it, man.
Yeah, sure. Whenever you feel like if you're comfortable to have those shared space with them, you just inform me. I'll inform them. If you're not, then it's okay. I don't mind. I'm just trying to, increase the reputation, the popularity. I'm just trying to, expand the base to get more people, get say more people to get our Wonky Stonks too. I'm trying to, get us get to know more, but all of you to get to know more projects to, like that.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for helping with the networking side of it. I saw Crypto Bat 28. You were trying to talk a little bit ago. Just brought you up. What's going on?
Hey, thanks, man. How you guys doing? And good to finally, be able to join a space for a decent length of time. No, I actually wanted to weigh in earlier in the earlier chat that was going on. It was talking about the utility or the value of the stonks, and I guess for me, the art that you mentioned, Kaleo, is key because we spend so much time looking at charts. Anyone who's in investment or crypto specifically has spent hours and hours and hours staring at charts, and to have them as NFTs, beautifully represented and generative as they are, I think that's attraction in itself, and that it definitely resonates with all of us traders and investors who have a vision and a dream of why they're doing this and what they're doing. So yeah, I guess that's what I wanted to add to that. Really, thanks.
I appreciate that, man. That means a lot. I was gonna say I saw Cube followed you, so I knew that you had to be a good dude. So I had to make sure I brought you up here.
Thanks, man.
Cube hasn't made you a cube, has he?
I don't believe so. No.
We'll have to tag it. If you've got 3 or more stonks, you got to get cubed.
I'll have to work on it, eh? Yeah, might be a little while before I accumulate that many, but it's
All
always a
right, man.
dream, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Well, either way, dude, I really appreciate the kind words. And I think that there are a lot of people that echo that sentiment. So Big Bold Bull, I'll give it to you in 1 second though. I just want to kick it over to Bots Not a Bot and just see how the progress is going right now on the blur and the transaction side of things.
I'm still pending for whatever reason. I pulled it up on the Block Explorer and it says there's a pending transaction with lower account nonce. This transaction can only be executed after the confirmation of the earlier transaction. So I have no idea. I double checked the addresses I sent to the new address, but I'm stuck. It's not from lack of effort.
What exchange is it from?
Well, I sent from Wealth Simple. I'm in Canada. We're kind of limited to our exchanges.
Gotcha.
So not being, I know that they backdoor through another exchange, and I'm not even sure who it is. So that likely could be what's happening here.
That would make sense. Yeah, I was going to say I haven't heard of them, so it might just be them, and I'm not sure what their processing time is, but it'll happen eventually. So, one thing I do right now is just make sure you're following Lumber. If somehow it doesn't happen by the conclusion of this space, and gets cleared a little bit later, you could DM him whenever it does, and just make sure show him the proof of that transaction, and he can send it as soon as that's completed.
Done. I just followed. I might have to ask more questions of him on the way, though.
Oh, that's fine, man. I mean, we can help you out here. So if you've never done it before, again, it's on blur.io is where that is, and it's as simple as connecting the wallet, searching for Wonky Stonks, and from there it's pretty intuitive process.
Well, I'm sure it seems that way to you, but we'll find out. I'm on board. I'm gonna do it. I just don't know how easy it'll be for me.
Hey, we'll get you there, man. We'll get you there. Big Bold Bull, welcome up. What's going on, man?
This is it, brother. How you doing?
Oh, dude, I'm doing well. I'm sitting here starting to get dressed and get ready to go over. I've got to be at the gym here at 3. I've already pushed it back about half an hour. So got a little bit of time left in the space, maybe 5 or 10 minutes before I got to call it quits.
No, fair enough. No, I had mentioned it in a one of these spaces there. I don't know, probably a couple months ago. I was actually getting ready. I was getting in a shower while I was on the space, but money just the investment pitch that I made just came through this week. Just put in my notice with my job, doing the business full time. Just wanted to share with the fam.
Yo, congratulations, man! That's exciting.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird monkey's paw kind of day. Like, that's good, that's bad. Like, I I checked my portfolio. I was like, oh, but then I got word on my investment pitch, so that was good. So
Bro, love to hear it. Congratulations! So you're your own.
Yeah,
boss?
it's 2.5 years of working 6 days a week, and now I only have to work for myself.
Love that, man. So you're going to be working 7 days a week, but you won't have anybody telling you what to do.
Exactly. If anything, I got the cash now to tell other people what to do. So it's been great. It's funny. It's because I've been kind of like the last couple to check my portfolios. Like ETH is down super bad for me. I got like two projects I put some cash in and total rug pulls, and I had some hope for, and then I was like, oh fuck, that sucks. And then I hopped on Magic Eden, and I had a bunch of ordinals I picked up, and all the bids that I had for all the asks that I had, they ended up like most of them all sold. So that's good. And I'll be able to pay off my car with that. So it's a weird day.
Oh, that's funny, man. Well, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, brother. Appreciate it. Figure I'd let the group know because, like I said, I was in spaces when I told everybody I was going for the pitch. So it's only proper for me to announce what the outcome was, even though that was like 2 months ago.
So I mean, like, this is something that's going to be starting immediately for you.
Yeah, so they're depositing. So I put my notice in with work, and they're depositing $500,000 into our account there July 14th.
Let's go.
Yeah. So it's through a foundation. So it looks like if we meet all of our thresholds, it'll be grant money. So like we won't have to pay it back, which is fucking incredible.
Oh, yeah, no way. That's amazing. Well, dude, I love hearing the good news, man. So you're going to be on crypto Twitter more too, then. Hello? Did I just get rugged? No, okay, he got rugged. He left.
He said he doesn't have enough time for broke people anymore. He has things to do.
Yeah, basically, he's like, I got that deposit. Just wanted to say bye.
I'm rugged there for a second, but yeah, I'll be a lot more involved. I'll be a lot more present.
Love it, man. Love it. Well, congratulations. That's some exciting news here at the end of the space. All right. So, y'all, I hate doing this, but unfortunately, I do have to call it. I'm glad we got Bot's Not a Bot connected with Lumber. We'll make sure that transaction happens. Lumber, you can let me know if there's any difficulties with that or questions that you have too, but I'm sure you'll be able to help him with that. But congratulations. Thanks again to the Legend Lumber for doing that giveaway for bots, and appreciated having everyone new up on stage. Hot Rod, I'll check out that DM, get back to you, and either way, we'll be back this next week. And in the meantime, just remember, Wonky Stonks are inevitable. So enjoyed it, and we will see y'all this next week.